valid thing here as well.
Yeah. It's up, and Senpai's going into Misery Mire.
About time. Alright, just waiting for, looks like there's a brief hiccup in the actual video feed there, and just some slight technical difficulties, so we're kind of commentating off the mainstream at the moment, but we'll be following along with the action still. Working heading into Skull, Smbai heading into Mire, performing the good old-fashioned strats in this first room. Not the full no midget glitches strats, but seemed like a decent variant thereof.
Right. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not a huge fan of Pendant Mire, but I'm not logic break to not do Pendant Mire. Hate Pendant Mire.
You know, I think everyone kind of has their own thing with regard to Randomizer. Everyone kind of has the one place that they're just like, nope. Or like the one combination that just makes them say, absolutely not. And I think in this case, for both runners, it was just Mire being a pendant. It's just no, just absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And unfortunately, that's not really paying off for either of them. We're seeing, of course, Smbai checking the first couple chests in there, and all he found was a couple keys. We'll see what else there is to be had in Mire as he progresses deeper. And Warken finally making that key play as well, but just what a silly series of events here. What a silly seed right now.
So the fact that Smbai full cleared oh no. Oh, that is not the progression item that KwehstopherWarken is going to want to see, because he's going to full clear ice with that, probably.
I looked away for like a very brief instant. What did we just see in here?
Flippers.
Of course it's flippers. Well, I mean, they both were trying so hard to avoid that, you know, to just say, like, if that's the progression in there, then let me please skip it, but...
The sea!
Well, Warken will be picking that up in just a little bit. He needed to continue working through that first top right section of Mire, and Smbai was working on the east side and just waiting on that cutscene for a little bit. But we'll be finding out what those other chests are in just a little bit here.
I think it's much more likely that Swamp Palace is going to lead to progression than that book is going to lead to progression. However, picking up the book before going to Swamp Palace is going to open up the Bombos tablet play.
That's a good point. We'll see. Smbai does have that knowledge that book is on that island, Lake Hylia Island. I tried to combine that all into one word, but I'm not 100% sure if Warken does have that information as well because of the brief stream downtime at that exact moment. So if he does, he may also decide to go pick that up beforehand. It would be a fairly reasonable play to do it, just to hedge your bets against that tablet being something required.
Did Smbai find the... Yeah, he must have. Smbai must have found the cane, or is completely confused right now.
Yes.
Yes,
there you go.
Right now.
Yeah, that's that unfortunate moment when you remember, crap, I can't actually finish this dungeon. And I don't believe they got a second item in here, which means it really was just the flippers, and the other one is on Vitreous, whatever it happens to be. Could still be progression. I mean, God, it could be Bow on Vitreous. That would just be...
Awful. Awful. We're gonna go with awful.
That might not be a strong enough word, man, even.
It would be... I think sounds describe that much better than words do.
That seems to be quite accurate. Smbai does appear to have decided, let's go east, let's pick up that book that I know is there. Then I'll think about doing anything else. So he's going to go ahead and collect that. He does now have in-logic access to ice, which he already finished. So at least he feels good about, like he didn't miss some part of the sequence there. The sequence really was go get the flippers. Unfortunately, it also included then get the book. And, cool.
So probably a check of Bombo's tablet before tablet before dipping into Swamp here. It's a very quick check, certainly quicker than dipping into Swamp.
Yeah, it takes nearly a minute just to open the door of Swamp, whereas Bombo's tablet is just another 30-ish seconds in that direction, give or take. Also, my sense of time just does not work, so those numbers probably are completely wrong and meaningless.
I think they check. 30 seconds sounds about right for the Bombo's tablet check, considering you have to mirror.
Alright, working with that pair of flippers is heading directly into Ice Palace, which he's not already done. He didn't opt to sequence break this earlier, so he unfortunately will be busy for a little while, collecting absolutely nothing except his crystal. Meanwhile, smbai picks up a Sank Heart off of the Bombo's tablet, which is not progression. So he's gonna have to go into Swamp Palace, which, by the way, as you correctly pointed out earlier, is a pendant. And in fact, is the third pendant.
So, if you find Cane of Samaria in here early, do you leave and go to Turtle Rock, or do you finish here?
I'm gonna be honest, if it weren't a race and it were me playing and I found Cane of Samaria in Swamp right now, I would quit the seed. I would just be done. The thing you are looking for sure is Bow. That's the absolute thing that you want, because that means you can go finish Eastern, you can go finish Pod, and in fact, not just finish Pod, but you can actually collect anything in Pod. And Pod will have a very high likelihood of having that Cane of Samaria, and then you'll be able to finish up with not having to do the rest of Swamp or Mire. If you see Cane here, that is just a... I mean, it could mean that you get the Bow in Turtle Rock, but it could also mean that you get the Bow off Vitreous.
Or the Bow on Head.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying it's possible!
I'm just saying I want to go to bed tonight. Somebody opting for the Hammer Dash to pick up that key there. That Hammer Dash, I come to understand from experienced runners, actually is slower. So you actually don't want to do the Hammer Dash. It looks really cool, but is not actually a faster strat to do.
I mean, I'm willing to give some seconds to Swag. I'm not willing to give up, like, Swagnet seconds to Swag. I'm not Sakura Tsubasa. I can't do Bugnet Aghanim better than I can do regular Sword Aghanim.
Just the compass in its vanilla location for smbai there in Swamp. Meanwhile, Worken pulling off a successful first try Ice Palace bomb jump and make it look pretty easy. But while he is continuing to kind of explore stuff that we've seen before, we have smbai just going about the slow process of collecting the key and flooding the area over here on the east, on the west, that is.
In that order, of course.
Yes, that's an important order. You definitely want to do those things in that order. I heard about your Don't Flood the Key song earlier. What is the Don't Flood the Key song variant that you have in your head right now?
It stays on the We Got the Funk variant unless I'm listening to music, in which case it's just... I guess I am listening to music, so I guess it's don't flood the key, don't flood the key, don't flood the key, don't flood the key, don't flood the key.
I'm reminded of a friend of mine who elucidated to me his the song that goes through his head when he hears this particular dungeon theme, and it goes a little something like this. It's not here, it's not here, it's not here.
That's pretty accurate.
Of course, that dates back a little more to like V18, V21, V23, back when pendant dungeons were pretty much never the thing that you wanted to do. And of course, now, as we see in this scene, there's a very good chance of the pendant dungeon having the thing you want.
Hey, look, it's the thing you want.
Oh, man. Well, okay. One thing can still happen here, Kemps, and that is that smbai could pick up the bow, and that would both put him in go mode and also save him a world of pain right now. But if he does not pick up the bow here in Swamp, then we're going to see some interesting decisions.
So here's the thing. Bow is go mode, so that means that there is no circumstance where you have to full clear pod, which is going to save both of our runners some time.
That's true. That's a good point. They'll just go to the right side, continue through the thing, or sorry, actually, they don't even need to go to the right side. Just no, yeah, they do.
They have to go to the right side.
Yeah, I understand how things work eventually. Sometimes, not really, but yeah, they'll go to the right side, get their key, go to the end, done.
Do they have the big key? Was in the first?
All right, big keys. Right, those are a thing. This isn't key sanity. Yeah. No, yeah, the first item was very much not a big key. It was like a rippy or something. It was garbage.
The question that you have out of smbai is he, if he's going to blind pull the ped if he pulls the ped, right? Like, he's not going to check before dipping into mire.
Oh,
never mind.
Wow.
Never mind. Doesn't even matter. Nothing matters.
Yep, it's all moot. He's in go mode. He is going to leave the dungeon and say peace out to that pendant. He does not need it at 1 hour and 28 minutes. He'll be in go mode.
So that's... You have to pendant mire to be able to do pendant swamp that has all of your go mode items. Wow.
Wow is the word, that's for sure. They did try to circumvent that flipper requirement. You know, they did correctly guess that the progression item in Mire was the flippers, and they tried to get around it, but that was a hard requirement to do Swamp, to get both the Cane of Samaria and the bow. Fortunately for smbai, he is done with that nightmare and will be able to finish up Pod, mirror back to Eastern Palace, and then flute up to Death Mountain and do Turtle Rock, and that's going to be it for him. Warken just needs to finish up Ice Palace and get to Swamp as quickly as possible to get his go mode as well.
So, I ask this question every time I see a runner in go mode. Do you think that this runner thinks they're behind?
Whew. It's really hard, and I think the main reason it's really hard is just because it's hard to know all the different runners in this tournament. I know if I'm watching like the Ori tournament, there's a lot fewer runners there, so it's easier to kind of know a little more about their mindsets. smbai, not knowing anything about him personally, I would guess that a runner in this situation would probably feel behind just because of having checked everything before going to the pendant mire. Well, that said, I mean, he might also realize, you know what, my opponent probably did that too, so he might not think he's that behind, but he'll certainly just be in a hurry, that's for sure.
So, I don't know if I missed this, but Cold Stare had a key on it. So what that means is that the logic expected you to have Cane of Samaria to be able to kill Cold Stare.
I can't process the logic in my head right now, so I'm going to say that you're probably right.
What that means is that this might be a signal to KwehstopherWarken that the cane is in Swamp.
That might be. We'll have to see. He does definitely appear to be heading in this direction. I wouldn't be surprised to see that pick up the book, go check bombers, go into Swamp play that smbai made. Because that's a pretty good combination of things to do. Or he might just head straight into Swamp. Book is definitely not required, though of course he does not have the psychic capability of knowing that offhand.
Looks like he's running to Swamp as fast as he can.
Alright. smbai, still working on pod. This is, not a super conducive configuration to go mode here. That big key is buried in the back along with, you know, the various nice
junk items
there. Oh, no. I'm sure they're very nice. I'm sure there's all sorts of, you know, capacity increases and other things. Stuff. Yeah, red rupees. There you go.
Yep, 28 of those. I wonder how many they found. Probably getting close to 28. Of course. I did a summoning spell for red rupees.
This reminds me of a seed earlier that I watched where someone got a little bit trolled by bombs in the escape, and then for the entire rest of the seed they picked up just bombs constantly everywhere to remind them of the escape shenanigans.
So smbai gonna probably lose a little bit of time here. Not much if the big key's on Harmless Hellway, but it's not.
There you go. So now he's in real actual go mode as he can actually finish this stupid dungeon, get on his way. Eastern will be a fair bit more straightforward, as I believe he's already got the big key for that one. And Turtle Rock is pretty straightforward as well, just be a matter of getting those small keys.
I mean, of course he has the big key. He would have checked Eastern again if it didn't. He would have definitely checked Eastern at some point before going Independent Mire if he had a chance.
That's true. Given the way that he routed this seed, he would certainly have left no stone unturned before heading to Pendant Mire. Great execution in that Mimic room, just quickly dispatching all three of them. Of course, Silver Arrow is making it a fair bit easier, but still, you know, being able to do that nice and cleanly and quickly, not wasting any significant time there. Working,
not footing the key. I mean, good job,
yeah. That's true. This is a safe strat to avoid doing that. Yeah, it looks like he either might not realize that he could have unlocked that door to the north, or he is just playing it safe to make sure that he can't accidentally lock himself out of the left side, which of course we know has the Cane of Samaria, so this is incredibly important. At this point, Kemps, it's definitely safe to say that this is smbai's race to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having a pretty substantial deficit right now, unfortunately.
So, what did Warken do wrong? Do you think?
I mean, I would say, really, insofar as you could call it wrong, it's pretty much just that both runners kind of had the same difficulty in deciding, let's go to Pendant Mire, where the progression really seems to be. But in addition to that, Warken had the problem of taking a little bit longer to get around to, Skull Woods, to pick up that Quake Medallion, which was also required to make that Misery Mire decision. So he kind of, took a little bit of time on both of them, and I think that really was kind of the thing that overall cost him here.
Yeah.
Well, there's step one of Warken's go mode. He just needs that bow from the waterfall chest.
And it looks like he is going to go ahead and get it. If he wasn't going to get it, I think you mirror there after getting that.
Yeah, gosh, that would be tragic to mirror out after getting just the one item, thinking like, oh, I think that's it. I think that's the only thing that's here.
Unfortunately, the only go mode dungeons we have left are like the dungeons that gain you the least amount of time from go moding them.
Yeah, pod with the big key buried all the way in the dark maze, so you have to clear pretty much everything. Eastern Palace, where you already have full cleared the front and collected the big key, and Turtle Rock, where basically in order to be sure you get all the small keys, you have to check basically every location. Although it would be nice for both of our runners if they're able to get the fourth small key prior to the laser bridge. Or to get the big key prior to the vanilla big key chest.
Yep, then they'd be able to steal a key and would only need 3 small keys. As anyone who plays Key Sanity knows.
I've played that once or twice.
I've seen you play that once or twice.
I'm sorry. Really clean execution by smbai here as he's going along. This is the part where you see that no major glitches execution shine, as we know that he does have some experience in that category of speedruns, so he's putting on a pretty good show here, and we'll be getting into the Armor's Nets momentarily. Plenty of arrows to take care of them right now, and he only needs 6. Oh, that was a really interesting strat. I like that initial arrow just right up the middle.
You call it a strat, I call it a miss.
Warken, unfortunately, he picked up that big key and decided that it was safer to double back and pick up the big chest, which I only say unfortunate because, of course, he has no way to know that that big chest has absolutely nothing useful. Alright, smbai opting for a little bit of shopping before heading up to Turtle Rock. Whoa, bucko.
Working, you're in go mode. Working.
Oh no. Oh no, he might not realize it.
Working, please.
Is it possible he doesn't have the information of the Turtle Rock medallion? Obviously we do, but he might not have actually checked it himself. And I feel like that's the only thing right now that would prevent him from realizing he's in go mode.
He also didn't check the Lumberjack ledge, which means that... No, wait, I'm pretty sure he did check that, because I don't think smbai checked it.
I believe the Lumberjack ledge check was smbai and not Warken.
No, I'm talking about Turtle Rock. I think Warken checked Turtle Rock.
That's the one I'm not sure about. I didn't even notice either of them going there, so I don't actually know which of them knows. I do know that smbai is about to walk into Turtle Rock. If he didn't already know, he now knows that Quake is the medallion and he can head straight on in. But as for KwehstopherWarken, I am not 100% sure. He might just not realize he's in go mode yet. I mean, like, one of the toughest things about Randomizer is just taking yourself out of the moment to realize that you are in go mode. That's not actually easy when you're so focused on acquiring all the items.
Oh no.
Warken, no, please. Please no. Don't do it.
He's doing it. He's
Oh,
pulling
man.
pedestal.
Well, I never want to assume that someone is like memeing intentionally or anything like that. I feel like it's much more likely that he's like just not processed that he's in go mode. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one is worse to assume of the runner, that he's memeing on us intentionally, or that he just unfortunately hasn't realized something that we all feel is like, we all like, oh come on, working, it's so obvious you're in go mode, oh my goodness.